My personal goal, though, as a consultant is to help library people and libraries build their own capacity to serve people, because that's why we're here. This is why we have technology. Welcome, come on in, make yourself to home. That's why we have tech. And so my job is to help build capacity. And so I look at every piece of work I do that way. Whether it's working for very small, tiny libraries where I'm crawling under network racks and getting tetanus, getting cut, trying to help with things, all the way to working with really large library systems, including state library systems, large entities, and I've even started some international work as well. So how we got to this presentation was very funny. I went to the South by Southwest conference, and I could see, has anyone heard of South by Southwest? Okay, a couple of folks. Okay, so it's a music conference, it's a film conference, but I went for the interactive conference, even though we love film and music. The interactive conference is all the current technologies, things like that are happening. And I was looking at the state of AI, and I was seeing the convergence of different things happening with all these different spinning plates. And I started becoming very concerned about how this would be affecting libraries. And so I was also working on a project with some ATALM staff, including Susan Feller. And if anyone knows Susan, she said, this would be a great talk for the conference coming up. So she asked me to do that. I said yes, and I would say that this is the hardest talk I've ever put together because of the moving parts. I have really stressed over this quite a bit, and in fact, I just did the last little bits a few moments ago thinking about this. So I'm working as best as I can to make sure that this is relevant to what your needs are, and trying to separate things that maybe are not, that get attention that are not so important versus things that I really feel like you should be thinking about. The first is that the term AI is kind of like the term the cloud, right? It's this really convenient way to talk about something very complex, but it's very short on details, right? So when we talk about the cloud, well, people will say, yeah, everything's in the cloud, our servers are in the cloud, and our data is in the cloud. Your data and your servers are physically somewhere, connected with wires, right? That's what the cloud is. It's a lot of those things. And so it's very important for us all to know that while the cloud itself is useful as a contextual way to talk about things, it's not very descriptive, especially when we're trying to solve problems or to improve what we're trying to improve. It's the same thing with AI. Everyone here has heard the term AI, obviously. That's why you're here, right? But what does AI actually mean? It's a lot of things. Some of those things are related, some of those are not. So the first part of this presentation, I want to try to help sort that out just for your own thinking before we get to the more advanced stuff, like really thinking about data sovereignty and the opportunities that tribes, that cultural institutions have to take control of that at this moment. I don't know if that time will be there forever, but that time is actually at this moment. Now, we're all using AI whether we know it or not, because guess what? It's all being like shoehorned into different services that we're doing. Now, there's some services that are definitely AI, and they say we're an AI service, we want you to know about this, but it is embedded in a lot of things that we are working on. In fact, these slides, some of the slides that I've done with PowerPoint, maybe it was 2 years ago, they started putting an AI assistant to help select graphics based on the text that you might have in the slides. Some of those graphics are pretty good, some of them are horrible. So I've left in some of the horrible ones just for fun, because again, I want us to really have this sense of what AI is and what AI isn't, so that we can decide what we want to do with it in our institutions. So just quickly, who here is deliberately using AI in another way in your library, archive, museum, or other institution? We've got a lot of folks. Would anybody just like to share really quickly how you're using AI in your work, what your work is and how you're using AI?
Well, we had 3 to 4 responses to that question, right? And 3 to 4 different applications of AI, from fairly simple and straightforward generative AI to custom AI, looking at content and deduplicating it before migrating it
from one system to another. And that's a big deal because all, migrations, anyone that's done a migration of anything never wants to do another migration of anything again, right? So being able to do that is really, really good. Thank you for sharing that. I wanted to talk about my own experience with AI really quick because I think this is similar to all of our stories. I wanted to understand the sentiment of a survey that I'd done. It was a survey of library people, and I wanted to know their attitudes about technology. And this was pre-COVID. And I wanted to, what I sensed, and I think we've all seen this, I sensed some differences between the comments in the survey answers and the actual data. Like I asked a question, how well do you like your ILS system? And it was, people were in the middle too, I like my ILS system pretty well, right? So, but in the comments, it seemed like really passive aggressive. It's like, I like my ILS system, but it actually sucks, right? So I kept seeing that over and over and over, and I thought, what do you mean? So I wanted to see those who voted, who said, anyone who said they didn't like their ILS systems, threw that out. I just looked at the data of those who said they liked their ILS systems, and I found that half of those who said they liked their ILS systems actually did not like their ILS systems if you looked at the comments, reading the sentiment, right? So I was blown away by this, and this was a tool that was used to monitor social media in real time. Folks will sometimes they'll do their complaints on social media, so companies watch that and they respond to those complaints, right? So they wanted to see when we're getting flooded with millions of complaints or whatever, what is the sentiment, or comments, what is the sentiment there? But when I really needed it is, to my horror, I was working with with one of the people I love dearly, but was not thinking before we launched a survey for the city of San Diego, working with the San Diego Public Library. Community survey. People in San Diego like to answer community surveys for the library. We had 7,000 responses in multiple open-ended questions. So how many people here do surveys as part of your work? Okay, we have a couple of people, okay. How many people know the difference between an open-ended question and a closed-ended question? Okay, well, I'm also going to talk about that. A closed-ended question means check a couple of boxes, and then we can tally the answers up. Open-ended is just tell us how you feel, and we'll figure it out later. 7,000 responses for multiple questions of just tell us how you feel, that was crushing. And so I thought we've got to work through this, because traditionally what you do with those open-ended questions is you code them. So somebody goes through and says, this individual comment is about subject A. This individual comment is about subject B. Sometimes comments, when you get those big long ones, sometimes there's multiple subjects that are done, but that's done by human tallying all of those. We had 7,000 responses, multiple questions. We could not do that. It was very, very, very difficult. And I thought, we've got to do something else. And so, and every time I mention a product, I'm not endorsing this product or suggesting you should use it. I just want to show my work, show you what I was using either at the time or now, just so that you know. So after looking for options, and this was pre-COVID, I settled on an AI service called Monkey Learn. I think they're out of Brazil. And it was already designed to look at that sentiment response, so I was like really, really stoked on it. It also had this option that I could do my own custom AI teaching, right? I could teach the AI how to understand, how to categorize different comments. If you've ever done library surveys or community surveys, they are highly localized. It's really hard to just borrow someone else's work and apply it to yours. You've got to know the language, you've got to know what folks are doing, things like that. So I needed to train it so it would find the answers correctly. So the process allowed me, now imagine this times 7,000 lines times, I think we had 10 open-ended questions. I can't do the math that quick because my brain's not there, but that's a lot. That's a lot. But the process allowed me to turn a nasty-looking spreadsheet into this, where we were able to break things down by saying, some people, San Diego, people love their town, right? So what do you love about your town? We love everything. They also, when you ask them, what would you change about your town? They say nothing. So it's like San Diego must be where we all need to live, or at least those answering the survey thought that. But we could see here is that we were able to create some very good simplified qualities, asking people what they liked, and narrow it down to everything: library, the nature and environment, the people and the community and family, and then the amenities of the community. And that came from training it and then still doing that human review, but then processing. So we're not human reviewing 7,000, we are teaching it, doing the processing, and then testing, looking at the spot checking to make sure that things work. So that was something that I found to be really powerful, and I thought, this is really, really interesting. So now we're going to move into section 1, AI and applications of AI. So guess what? You can ask AI what it is, and it will tell you, right? So this is the top page of Google, and what I want you to know now is that when you enter a search term into Google, if it's in the form of a question, like what is AI, it's going to use its AI to answer that question. Right? It's going to use that AI to answer the question. And as someone who works in libraries, my first question when I got a response from AI is, where are you getting your information? How do I know that this is credible? So one of the things I want you to notice is that there are links here where Google shows where it's getting that information and how it's compiling. And it's using generative AI, that flavor of AI, to put things together that are readable and concise, and the things that I think universally most of us really like about AI applications is the generative AI and the large language models that can take away a lot of human work. So do you think that others, though, like its competitor, OpenAI, would define AI in the same way? Who thinks it would be identical? I agree with you. I agree with everyone who didn't raise their hand. I do not think it would be identical. So that's a little danger. But even more so, do you think Google might answer the same question in the same way when asked twice? The answer is no. So I'm not sure why it did it this way, but I asked the same question in succession, right? And so when, after that, I think it said, oh, the person asking the question was not satisfied. Let's try a different approach. Let's try a different way of packaging the information. Maybe we have a decision maker who needs bullets, right? And so it came up with the different, and still the answers are just fine. They're valid, but they were different. I didn't try it a third time, but perhaps there would even be a different variation of that a third time. But this is something to think about now, right? When we look at sources of information in the past, they didn't change very much or very quickly. In this case, same question, variations on the answer. So for those who haven't looked into this, and for non-techies, your eyes might glaze over. I'm going to go as quickly as I can. AI learns things in a couple of different ways, and I will get these slides up. I didn't finish them until minutes ago, so I will get these into the Whova app. There's supervised learning, there's unsupervised learning, and there's reinforcement learning. So these are different models of teaching the computer how to recognize and to respond in some way. But remember, this all starts with human design, and especially in the case of the AI models that we work with a lot, like most of us that are being packaged in, a lot of that is also constantly being reviewed by humans looking at this and saying, does that make sense? Is that really right? If it's not right, let's eliminate it. So AI behind the curtain is definitely a work in progress. How AI learns things, there's different approaches. There's artificial neural networks. These are things that kind of try to simulate how the human brain works. There's deep belief networks, which is a type of neural network designed to learn hierarchical representations of data. So that can be really handy when the data is packaged that way. And then there's generative adversarial networks that get very complex, right? So this isn't a class on that. I just want you to start thinking from this, that AI is not one thing. It's actually a bunch of things, and those bunch of things keep branching out. Okay, so everything that you learn or see about or hear about that you use, it's already started branching out in some special way, and that is an opportunity for us. There's other things, and I only use that picture because the image in there looks remarkably like Scarlett Johansson, right? A little bit. And remember, OpenAI wanted to use her voice for an application. She said, no, I don't want you to use my voice. You may not do that. They went ahead and did that anyway, or something close to it. So I'm bringing this up to scare you just a little bit, like to think about what is it that a company will do when it comes to AI. They will do what they can get away with, right? So this is something to be careful of. This is not the same. That can be the culture of business, not all business, but that can be the culture of business. That is not our culture as libraries, archives, and museums, right? So, but it's something to be aware of, because guess what? We make and share a lot of content. Key factors for choosing a model, probably the biggest one that we see is this idea of data availability. OpenAI is already starting to run out of free data to harvest. And so they're looking for other data to harvest, right? So one of the challenges that we have in library land is that we just do not have enough. Our systems are not designed for data harvest for a couple of reasons. One is by culture, we protect privacy and confidentiality. The second is by statute. In some cases, there's laws saying that we protect privacy and confidentiality. The third reason is not so noble. It's because many of our systems are based on 70s mainframe technology, the main systems that we use. On the library side, not on the archive side. Those systems are not designed to be touched. They're in a black box. They're hard to get at. They are not ready. And I'm just going to skip through this. I want to get to the next stuff, but we've all heard of machine learning. I'm sure everyone in here, that's one of the most popular terms. Natural language processing, that is our ChatGPTs or Google Geminis, things like that. Things using computer vision, things that are used in autonomous or semi-autonomous automobiles, etc. And then lots and lots of other applications. There's 3 bullets in the other applications. That could probably be pages and pages and pages, because the adoption of AI is happening so fast that it's showing up almost everywhere. So I'm going to play a couple of fun question mark. These are fun question mark uses of AI. The first is an example of a movie trailer for a show that never was. And I might need to fix the audio here. We'll see what happens.
In the year 2062, the Jetson family lives in a world of technological marvels and futuristic advancements. George Jetson, a family man and dedicated employee at Spacely Sprockets, faces an unexpected challenge when Mr. Spacely assigns him a special mission to relocate his family to a new space colony and oversee the construction of an innovative automated factory, while Jane, his stylish and modern wife, adapts to life in space, and the children, Judy and Elroy, discover new adventures and friends in their futuristic surroundings. The loyal household robot Rosie and the family pet Orbit continue to provide their unwavering support. However, not everything is as easy as it seems. George discovers that the new factory is the target of sabotage orchestrated by the villainous Mr. Cogwell and his sinister robot accomplice. With the help of his family and new friends, George must navigate dangerous technological traps and unravel the mystery behind the sabotage to save the space colony and prove that, in any time and place, family is what matters most. Join the Jetsons in their first cinematic adventure and discover a future filled with surprises and excitement. Don't miss it.
Okay, how many people remember, who are old enough to remember, the Jetsons movie from the 50s? No, the one they're talking about here, not the Jetsons cartoon series, but the Jetsons movie from the 50s. Of course not. There was no Jetsons movie from the 50s, right? So this is an application of AI, and you can go onto YouTube and you can find a lot that are in this exact same format. The scripts will be the same, the way that they kind of talk about this, but they're using AI to generate everything that you saw up there. And when you start looking at it closely, you notice a couple of things, and that's the same characters look different in different iterations. The other is that was the most PG version I could find. Most of them are like, I know you've always wanted to see a hot Leia, Princess Leia, so we're going to make one, right? So scantily clad women is one of the features, and it's one of the ways they get people to click on them. I had to really look around to find something that was appropriate for today. But that's an example of using AI to create images, create a voice, right? To degrade the sound so it sounds like it's something from the 50s. And I look at something like that and I think we will be teaching, I'm not hoping we will, I think we will be. We're going to be teaching our younger generations how to tell something that actually happened from something that didn't actually happen, right? So I'm telling you this because this is our charge to be thinking about this, because the world we're living in is changing dramatically that way, and this is one of my concerns. A really good-looking video.
In the year 2060.
Here's another very strange example. I'll leave it to you to see what your opinion of, but it kind of cracked me up.
These YouTubers are using deepfake technology in some very funny ways. At number 1, the Fakening, who put Elon Musk's face on Charlie Sheen.
That's how I roll. I have one speed, I have one gear. Go.
Put Kevin Hart on Mr. T.
I just want to shake some sense into you kids.
And swap Tom Hanks for Keanu Reeves in Forrest Gump.
Mama said they'd take me anywhere. She said they was my magic shoes.
All right, Forrest. Open your eyes now.
Face swaps are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. At number 2, Next Face. He features Keanu too by making him multiple characters on NBC's The Good Place.
Everything okay?
Nope. Gets strange with Stranger Things characters swapping Eleven's face for Hopper.
Max wanted to have a sleepover. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And turn Ryan Reynolds into Willy Wonka in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
This is the Great Glass Wonkavator.
It's an elevator.
It's a Wonkavator. An elevator can only go up and down, but the Wonkavator can go sideways and slantways and long ways.
That is almost as freaky as the Tim Burton remake. And third on our list of celebrity face swap channels, Dr. Fakenstein, who's inserted Snoop Dogg and Mike Tyson into an episode of Oprah.
So I want you to read this one first. Okay.
Want to read what he said?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Mess with Mike again in the Family Matters intro.
It's all I see is a tower of dreams. Real love bursting out of every scene.
And most famously, turn Nick Offerman, aka Ron Swanson, into everyone on the Full House intro.
Everywhere you look, you're lost out there and you're all alone.
And now, this baby's gonna haunt your dreams tonight. You're welcome. Swapping celebrities on the buzz list. These YouTubers.
Okay, so that's weird, right? That's like really weird. And I know that the first time I saw that, I found myself laughing and then being disturbed and then laughing and then being disturbed and then laughing in a disturbed way. So it kept going, but it gave me a lot of pause thinking about that, because this is not like a secret laboratory where you need to cook these things up anymore, right? Or you still need computing power, but it's not that hard to get a hold of. So from there, we're going to go into risks, challenges, and opportunities. And this is for us. One thing I would like to stress, because the thing as a technologist and someone who works with libraries, I've been very bothered when someone tries to compare the AI explosion to past technological advances. It is not the same in any way, shape, or form. One of the biggest differences is that I've never, in my career as a technologist, I've never seen companies rush to release things that were not even ready for the light of day, right? We've all been beta testers for software, and as they release things and we have to kind of work out the kinks. I've never seen companies trip over themselves to get imperfect, flawed things out to capture people's attention as I have with AI. Ever. And so, and I always think of technology, the way technology works is kind of like the way media works, right? So media over time becomes further specialized. Like that's what happens to all media. Like we have cave paintings, we have papyrus, we have the Gutenberg printing press, and then we have the magazine rack, right? You know, where information becomes increasingly specialized and more universally spread. A similar thing happened with the internet, right? Everyone could just publish. They could just get online and publish on all sorts of topics. It went very quickly from being very broad to very specific, and lots of those very specific. I think the same thing is happening with AI, but it's like on hyperdrive, and that's why it's really hard to keep track of all the different things that are happening, because they're truly all happening and being unveiled before our eyes. So I'm not saying that to scare you at all. What I'm saying is that this is a time to grab and to think, how do we want to harness AI to suit our institutional missions, our department missions, our tribal missions? How do we want to do this? Because this is actually the opportunity. This is the opportunity that's happening right now. So think of it as that uncharted territory, but it's one that you can sail through, and I know that. Some of the challenges and risks, of course, are the bias in AI. I was talking about how I trained the AI to parse those questions for San Diego. If my intentions were differently, I could have looked for different data in that, right? I could have put in some really, really terrible sorts of things that I was looking for. I could look for everyone who hated their situation, right? Or whatever, or much worse. We all know, and we've seen examples of this when we're looking at data applications. Some may be at best culturally unaware, simply unaware of the culture that it is being part of, or worse, hostile, very hostile to us. So this is a huge one. This is why I feel like everyone needs to be thinking about how to be on top of that. Privacy concerns, data collection and usage. This is a brand new area for most of us to think about this idea of data in a different way. There will be, I'm sure, some privacy regulations. I'm sure they won't be that great in terms of that. Data sovereignty. Commercial AI providers want free and open access to everything. I'm sorry to tell you, Google and OpenAI and Microsoft, those salad days are over, because people are starting to go, well, what do you mean you want, because you're selling this. This is a product. You're taking things that actually belong to me or to us, and you're selling it, you're repackaging it and selling it. I don't like that, okay? I hope you all feel that way, because that is how I'm hoping, if I can influence you, I'm hoping I can encourage you to feel that way, because it doesn't belong to OpenAI or Google. It belongs to you. It belongs to the people that you serve. It belongs to culture, not to another company. One of the challenges, although, as well, is that maybe tribal entities rightfully restrict some data access just to tribal members. And so I think this has to be front and center of decisions. So I'll talk about that when I get to the roadmap that I'm suggesting. I'm not saying to do this, but I thought I can't give you all these problems without giving you a way to get out of get a machete, get out of the jungle on this. Another challenge and risk is the idea of job displacement because of automation. That's the first thing that people think. I'm not sure how much of an actual danger this is. How many people feel like you don't have enough work to do right now? Okay. Some people may not, actually might not have a lot of work to do, but so many of us in our job feel overwhelmed. And especially in libraries, I've been working on automation for a long, long time. I can't think of a project that I worked on where it actually panned out to eliminate staff based on automation. Automation was usually like, we can't add staff, we need to stem the tide, we need help with working, we need help doing things. So that's not true always. It just depends on the motivations of those looking at this. In business, certainly automation is looked at a way to cut the workforce. I just know that most libraries, archives, and museums have a backlog of work constantly. And in fact, just getting someone to take a vacation and not check their email, impossible, right? Because things have to keep moving and keep going. So if you are concerned about automation, I respect that. Just in my experience, I'm thinking we need to harness automation more to make our lives nice, to enjoy our work more, And maybe shift some of that productivity over to a machine that does not get as fatigued as we do, and we can keep making the creative decisions. Another risk challenge, AI safety, the risks of uncontrolled AI and developing safety measures. Everyone, I think, has probably seen those shocking videos where you ask AI a question and they go, I'm going to destroy the human race in 12 minutes or whatever, right? The risk of that, I know that there was a time that Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and others that are in the tech industry, they issued a dire warning about AI and how we have to slow down development. I do not believe that was altruistic. And I don't want to come across as anti-companies. I really don't feel that way. I'm just scrutinizing actually what I'm seeing in these cases. And when I saw that, I thought, you don't want to slow down AI development. You want the other guy to slow down their AI development so you can get ahead of them. Because I haven't heard anything like that lately. Have you? Have you heard anyone say, let's slow it? No. So I think they just wanted a breather. Everyone was kind of surprised by that. But it is important to really think about, especially some of the systems that are autonomous. Has anyone driven a car with AI-assisted technology to keep you in the lane or to slow down or stop at the vehicle in front of you? Okay, good. So those are coming. Those are going to become more and more standard. Do they always work perfectly? We have a vehicle where if we hit a little bump in the road, it'll say brake because it sees the ground, right? So just letting a machine make all the choices, we're not there yet. I'm not going to play this entire thing, but this is a video that you'll want to look at differently. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Their technology columnist is very good, and she is going to show us a deep fake of herself that she made. And what I want you to notice is that this is not her, but it sounds like her, it looks like her, and it talks like her. Okay? Now let's play a little bit of it.
Today we're going to create an avatar that looks and moves like me. We begin by smiling into the camera. I love to smile. Smiling's my favorite. And breathing gently for a short second. Is this what breathing looks like? I'm Joanna Stern, and I'm excited to host this video. No, I am the real Joanna. Okay, so I cloned myself. Kinda. Howdy. Why? Well, the latest AI tools that generate text and images already make it hard to tell the difference between what's real and what's fake. What's coming next with AI-generated voice and video is gonna blur the lines even more. So I came up with a challenge. Can I replace myself with AI for the day? Yes, I came up with 4 challenges to see if AI me could sub in for real me. So real me had more time for me things. Or at least that's how I wanted it to go.
Still a little creeped out that I'm looking at a frozen Joanna.
Okay, let's do this.
Take 2 calibration.
Before we get into the challenges, let's talk about my AI avatar, which was made by a startup called Synthesia.
I want to make my avatar.
At a professional studio in New York, the company recorded me doing a series of head movements. I feel like I'm at the eye doctor. Okay. And reading through a rather odd pre-written script.
Positive thinking will help you believe in yourself and fill you with self-esteem and confidence.
After that, I headed to an audio studio where I recorded another script for about an hour. My name is Joanna Stern, and I hereby consent to this audio recording to create a custom voice. The company took that all and used it as training data and ran it through their AI neural networks.
Hello, Joanna. You don't mind if I call you Joanna, do you?
Okay, so the voice isn't the best. A tool called 11 Labs produced something better after my producer Kenny uploaded 2 hours of my previous recordings. I am the real Joanna.
I am the real Joanna. I am the real Joanna.
Both Synthesia and 11 Labs work similarly. Type in anything and AI Joanna just says it right back.
Synthesia is aimed at companies that want to make internal videos. It charges at least $1,000 to create a custom avatar.
Creating a voice clone with 11 Labs is $5 a month.
Challenge 1, phone calls.
I happened to have a call scheduled that day with Evan Spiegel, the CEO of Snap.
The company recently released My AI, a chatbot within the popular app.
Hey, Evan, it's Joanna. Do you worry that if we chat with AI all day, we'll stop talking to our real friends?
Definitely not what we've been seeing. I think that's one of the real benefits of our sort of testing and learning approach. So far, I think if anything, it's going to become a conversation enhancement and improve the way, that people communicate with their friends and family.
Did you think, by any chance, that my question to you was generated by an AI voice?
No. I mean, the first word or two was a little bit of a giveaway, but I thought maybe you were extra serious today.
So wow, right? Kind of mind-blowing. I wanted to pick up the curtain so you can see how the things are created. There's a lot of production going on there, but it's all in a very structured way. And the other tip from this is I'm often asked, like forever, like what are the things that I read to stay up with technology? I recommend the Wall Street Journal, especially if your institution is able to have a subscription, because it's super expensive. But they follow the money, and right now the money follows the tech, right? So as a layer of understanding what's going on in our technological world, that is actually something I find extremely handy, because sometimes something pops up because of like a huge investment in it somewhere, and it gets my attention to pursue. And this particular columnist, she's very, very good. So I encourage you to watch the rest of that video. It's not super long, but it's longer.
Today we're going to create an avatar.
So again, this is a question for you to ponder: is what other challenges and risks do you anticipate? Because the reason that the AI explosion is blowing up so much and it's got so many tentacles is because, as you can see, the applications are personal, right? Like this time it's personal. It really is, and the potentials are also personal. The opportunity, of course, is learning as much as you can handle. I know everyone is really, really busy, and join with others to create the future that you want to live in. And that's why I put together the roadmap that'll hopefully offer a little relief at the end of the session. And really thinking about how to leverage AI to fulfill your mission as a library and archive, tribal government, and especially in association with others. Right? One of the things that we can be in danger of is we don't all speak as one voice in this manner. And so I'm going to get to that in a moment, ways to incorporate that and to think about that. So use of AI in libraries and archives. This next slide is one of the goofy slides that I let AI generate. Here. It's like, oh, cool, there's icons. What do they mean? Not a lot when it comes to the topics. There is, within libraries, there's a lot of consumer style use, and ULC, the Urban Libraries Council, they have an IMLS grant to study the application of AI. A lot of in libraries, a lot of the application right now is kind of teaching people about it and learning about it. That's most of it. Very little is being harnessed like you're harnessing for your specific project. That makes my heart hurt, right? We need to be harnessing it because everyone else is doing that for the benefit of the work that they're doing, and that's something that we need to do as well. I want to tell you my ALA story just really, really quick. I went to the American Library Association. I went to the vendors session from ILS vendors. ILS is for Integrated Library System. It's the library catalog, digital catalog. I said, since AI needs access to data, how to do its thing, how is that influencing the infrastructure design, your technical design of the ILS system to allow effective and library-specific uses of AI? No answer. There was no answer to that question. The other thing that made me concerned is that one of the participants said they'd done some experiments with using AI to do metadata cataloging, which we all need to do for our systems. And they said it just really wasn't doing a very good job. And that brought me back, because if there's any one thing that should be the easiest thing for AI to do, even if it's local cataloging rules, is to learn those cataloging rules and to provide some assistance on something that's repetitive like cataloging. So that was in, when was that? That was in April. I'm hoping there's been some change since then in our industry, but that did not leave me hopeful for that moment to hear that, because these our core systems it's very important that they're open and that we're able to use them in ways that we want to use them to do. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things that are possibilities, along with some actual examples. For fun, I asked AI to come up with these with some examples of applying AI for library operations, for library sorts of things, and we also had to fact check it, and we had to throw a bunch out. So I want to thank my assistant Bonnie. She did the fact checking, and we could not find any evidence of this actually happening. We did not include it, so that's something we have to do too. But of course, digital preservation and curation, image and document preservation and deduping. Oh my goodness, I need deduping on my own libraries at home. Extracting metadata and content analysis. Metis is one example of that, the National Library of Scotland. They're using AI to automatically identify and repair damaged digital files. Enhanced search and discovery, including semantic search, recommendation systems, and natural language processing. This is a natural thing, and that's why I'm being so hard on the ILS vendors, because who is really happy with the discovery that they're using for their library or archive? Is anyone like really happy with it? Right? Okay. Is anyone able to tune it? No. You know why? Because in most cases, with some notable exceptions, it's in a black box. You can't get at it to do anything with it. So this is where I think we have a great opportunity. You can see the two examples that we could verify. One is Google Arts and Culture, which is open at the core for Google anyway, and the Met, Metropolitan Museum of Art's Open Access Initiative. So they're starting with a data structure that is also open. Accessibility and inclusion, transcription and captioning, image description and language translation. This is something that I've been using for a long time just on YouTube. YouTube will do this automatically. What a wonderful thing to do. On this presentation, if we desired, we could ask it to do live captioning as I'm speaking for those who could use that live captioning on the screen if there's auditory challenges. And there's several examples that you'll have in the slide. Education and outreach, of course, personalized learning, virtual tours, and interactive exhibits. Examples from the British Library's Digital Scholarship Lab and the Museum of Modern Art's AI Lab. These are very exciting sorts of opportunities. One of the things that I always wonder about and hope to see a lot of is ways to take that museum experience and translate it across the wires in a real credible way. Because when we go to a museum, the curators have created an environment that help condition us to receive the things that we're about to learn, and it's incredibly powerful. Online, we're all going through the same screen, right? It might be a little screen, it might be a bigger screen, it might be a huge screen, but we're all going through this flat screen. And so being able to do things that make that flat screen a little bit more immersive is, I think, a wonderful thing. Collection management and cataloging. This should, in my opinion, is that if there's anything that AI is trying to do right now in a library environment, it is this. And I'm not saying unsupervised. I also work with a lot of catalogers, and I know the importance of a good catalog, good metadata, and how important it is. Also, I think this would be a way to ensure consistency. It might be a way to help with the workload. A lot of times what I've seen is that, especially with metadata cataloging, there's that one person in the institution who holds it closely because they don't want anyone else screwing it up, right? And so having an opportunity to actually create those rules and to be able to check so that can help with the work, I think that would be fantastic. I wanted to give you a fun example. Has anyone here used a note-taking app, meeting note-taking app? Good. Well, I use one that's called Otter AI, and I'm not going to get deeply into it, but what I love about Otter AI, and I've employed quite a bit, is not only does it do a transcription, but it will do a summary of the things that were spoken, and I can actually, in a natural language, I can say, Otter AI, what am I supposed to do by when, according to those meeting notes? And in seconds, it'll come back and give me my list of things to do. I really like that. It's a really good way to have a meeting flow and to get back. And so as you can see on the way this is organized, This is a summary, and so there's a lot of summarized information from a meeting that I had for the EI network. And then it's even suggesting questions that I can ask if there's things that I want to ask from that, and I don't have to slog through the entire transcript. I love that because I have lots of online meetings and I'm on the go a lot, and I need that. I need something keeping me on track. Staying agile in a changing environment. This is where our ethics come in. I'm going to skip through this, but I wanted to show that as things are being eliminated, there's an awful lot of opportunities for jobs in artificial intelligence because there's so much energy around this. Data scientists, machine learning engineers, researchers, product managers, robotics. I think that this will just keep growing and keep growing. The big question is what roles do we need, and what do we need in libraries, archives, and museums to be able to do this? I'm not seeing a lot of talk about that particular topic, and that's something I'm very interested in. I did ask the AI if prompt engineering was a job, and it says, no, it's a skill. It's a skill. Prompt engineering is asking the AI a question that gets you a result. That is a good result, because sometimes you get things that are bad results. So I would think that everyone in this room is a super searcher, and you're probably a power user of any AI system because you know how to ask a question that a technology system can answer for you, right? But not everyone knows that, but I thought this was a funny thing to ask the AI. One thing I want you to think about now as we kind of go into more of the strategy. In a digitally interconnected world, data is a tribal asset. We haven't talked about that yet, but this is the whole core around data sovereignty. Data about tribal culture, cultural heritage, artifacts, collections, stories, traditions, and current activities and initiatives and things that are happening today are all assets. This is not always how we look at them because that's not why we're curating these. But in the rest of the world, this is how data is looked at. It is an asset to be packaged and reproduced, and at some level, through advertising or through direct things, sold, right? That's how the things that we're creating are often looked at outside of our institutions. It's certainly not the reason that we're collecting this. That's far away from it. But we need to recognize that other entities in the world, this is how they're looking at things. But what you have is valuable. It is valuable it's always been valuable, and it's especially valuable in our world coming up. And it is yours to decide about. I just saw this morning that came across in an email newsletter I get from the Wall Street Journal. And again, this is why I really like this source. It says the morning download agriculture giant Bayer, they make the aspirin as well, is now growing AI models for sale. So Microsoft basically has a place, a market for batches of data that can be used. It's customized to be used within AI systems. And so this big announcement is that Bayer has a ton of data, and so they're offering that data for sale within to be used in customized AI systems, because we need to remember that in our interconnected world, we're constantly looking at different data sets that we want to have. And so my thought is that in the future, if there's a different part of our brain that can look at what we're doing as the data being valuable as an asset, then that will help us make decisions about how we're collecting it and how we're sharing it. But this is huge. I hadn't heard of Microsoft's market for bits of data that people can get and use and incorporate into their own AI systems. And if it's foreign to you, it should be, because our systems are so behind. We're not used to this agility with connecting and combining and accessing data. But the rest of the world is. The rest of the world is, and I think they may be looking at things that we have in the same way. So I'm going to be a little audacious here in the last 5 minutes. I'm going to suggest a tribal tech roadmap for AI, because I know that I presented nothing but problems in this talk, right? It's like nothing but problems. But I think that there is a powerful way to step forward and a powerful way to be there. First is the focus, I think, is to remember that you should own and manage access to your data. You should own it and manage the access in the way that you choose, including, we're not sharing. We don't want to share this. But you need to make the decision on that. You should have the power and the authority, not anyone else. The other, for a primary goal, would be control of what belongs to you. Having control, because when it comes to data in the rest of the world, with licensing, there are all sorts of restrictions on how things can be used, right? Even when it's in a data set. A secondary goal that you might consider is compensation or monetization of information that you are choosing to share for whatever reason. This is just I think this should be an expectation. And when I say that, I'm not saying that for your primary users. I'm not saying it for the people that you serve right now. I'm talking about this brave new world of AI where things are different, where a company wants access to maybe information that you have, good information, good assets, just to be thinking about that compensation and monetization. So I'm not saying charge for library services or archive services. What I'm saying is that if there is a value to that in the rest of the world, you should benefit from that value that belongs to you. Okay? Suggested personal goals is, don't forget things are moving fast and it's really messy. And so if it's intimidating, you're right. You're going to feel intimidated. I feel intimidated every day when I learn something new, especially about that Microsoft Marketplace today. Learn as much as you can, but start with understanding what AI is and what it isn't, especially with context. And that's why I wanted to show you how I learned how AI works and its limitations, is because I actually trained an AI to do something that I needed. And it helped me understand what was at the core of that type of AI. Contribute to any existing discussions that you might have in your institution, in your tribal government. And if there's none, you might want to start some conversations about this. I know it's different for everybody, but I think that would be good. And then inventory and assess the data your institution has created. This is very important to have an understanding of what you have and the sort of shape that it's in, even just in a light sense. A suggested tribal nation or institutional set of goals. Each nation might inventory and assess its data from a global sense, because not everything is at the archive, right? There's lots of things in different pots, in different areas. So just starting with the inventory and assessment of what is there. Create policies governing internal and external use of tribal data is so important. As you can see, what I was trying to do as we got to the end of this presentation is come up with a shared understanding of what AI is and what it isn't and what it means to you, right? It took an hour and maybe I got that close to helping with that sort of thing. So think about that with the people that you work with, right? Everyone has to have the same understanding of what this is and what it isn't so that good decisions can be made. And so policies come from that understanding. What might be shared with the world and why, and what should not be shared with the world and why. And there are rationales for both of those and everything in between, okay? There's not a wrong answer to that, but having a deliberate choice on that, I believe, is extremely powerful, and it will help focus your efforts. And then this is the harder one, and that's collectively tribal nations, institutions might collaborate on data access policies to make it easier to work with companies who would like to access Native American data assets, but have no idea of your individual culture or even collective cultural values, norms, and conditions, right? They just don't know, probably don't care, right? They just want cool images that fit into something. So this is something, again, this is why I want everyone here to have that authority over your own things. You should have the power to be able to choose to do that. So we don't have any time for discussion. It is 11:45. I can't believe I actually got this all fit in. But if anyone is interested in continuing this discussion in any way, shape, or form, just leave me your information, just email, and I'd be very happy to put together a Google group for this to talk about this. This is not going away. So thank you very much. Enjoy lunch.